Here we go again, Andy. We had a meeting, we had a conversation a little while ago on issues around race, and we thought we'd have another one. So here we are, and you had a question that was that you wanted to ask. So why don't you tell us your question, and we'll have a discussion about it.
Okay, Jace, what? Okay, this is my question. It's a provocative question. Do you think the church is racist? Do you think the church in London is racist?
Man, this is a huge one, and I think I want to start by just saying we need to make sure we're clear on what we mean when we say racist, and a couple of missteps that we can make. One is thinking that we're only racist if we are being physically violent or using sort of racial slurs or something like that. And if we're not doing that, then case closed, we're not racist. That'd be one misstep we could make. Another one might be that we say, I need to be color blind. I need to not even be aware of people's color. And that's actually success. And I think the Bible gives us some stuff that helps us on this. So James chapter 2, the sin of partiality, he seems to be talking about when we treat people differently on the basis of external appearance or some external characteristic. So in James 2, it's rich and poor. But it could be any external characteristic which causes us to preferentially prefer some people and not others. And so it's not just necessarily violence or racial slurs. There might be all kinds of other stuff going on slightly more subtly. And then in terms of the color blind thing, the Bible's picture, it seems to me, looking at, for example, the end of the Bible, is that there will be a wonderful new creation in the end where our differences aren't obliterated, they're still there, and yet there's unity in the midst of that. So it can't be right saying that what we want is to forget people's color. It's just that we recognize it rightly and celebrate it rather than using it as something that puts people down. So that's just some, I guess, markers in the sand. But you're a white guy, you're asking the question. This is a big issue right now. What do you think? I want to hear something from you.
Yeah, it is a provocative thing. I mean, what you said there is really helpful. The different kinds of racism that exist, and I think sometimes those of us who are white, we think, well, I'm not coming out with racial slurs. I don't look at people with different skin color as being somehow inferior to me. I don't want to marginalize people. So we think, we're not racist, but there's a deeper issue, an issue of a kind of structural, institutional, cultural legacy. We look at London and we can see that 50% of the church-going population in London are black, but that is not represented in our kinds of churches. It really isn't. So there's got to be an issue. Surely there's an issue here.
Yeah, I mean, we've got. I mean, I want to say up front. I mean, my church would be sort of a mixture of the two. So my church would be multi-ethnic. We've got a mixture of races, and in fact, yours has to a certain degree as well.
Yeah. So, we're probably majority BME, about half.
Yeah. But there is a constituency of churches out there for whom that is not the case at all. I mean, what do you think's going on there? You've had some experience and time there. What do you think is one of the issues going on there?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. I don't think it's about particular leaders or individuals having racist views, but I think there is a legacy and maybe a kind of a laziness in our thinking about these issues. I think, obviously I'm not responsible for the sins of my grandfather or anything that my grandfather did, but I am responsible with the legacy in our situation today and how I deal with that and what I do with that. I don't have all the answers to that, but I kind of feel we need to do something about it.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I mean, you mentioned earlier the sort of thing, 50% of people going to church on a Sunday, roughly speaking, black, 50% white. Okay. Are you saying that there's a church and in its local area, it's mostly white, that they should somehow be busing black people in?
They could try. No, of course not. I think, we need to be representative of the city in which we live. But the reality is, white British. It's about 48% of the population of London, white total, maybe about 56, 58. So there are issues here, aren't there? Particularly when the church-going population itself is so largely made up of black and minority ethnic groups. Yeah. So yeah, I think we need to do something about this.
Ephesians might have something to say about the things that you've been reflecting on. Would maturity look like diversity?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I wonder if it moves us that way. What's your view, Andy?
Yeah, well, Ephesians. Yeah. I mean, you've talked about Ephesians there, but Ephesians would say that the dividing wall between Jew and Gentiles being broken down, and so growing up into maturity is these diverse, different groups speaking the truth in love to one another, and building one another up. And I think issues are immaturity. It's sin. It's cultural sin. It's a laziness about these things, and it's a spiritual immaturity. It's a lack of vision for what God wants the church to be.
Oh, Andy, bless you for speaking so frankly. These are hard things to say, and you're speaking out of the heart about the constituency that you feel in some ways are part of. So bless you for being honest about that. Let's keep the conversation going.
Right. Thanks, Jace.